Good morning, I'm Emily Barkan. Thanks for joining us for Mornings on the Hill.
And I'm Malaysia Williams. Here's a look at some of the stories we'll be talking about over the next half hour.
Coming up this morning, look back, act forward. It's Remembrance Week on campus. Our Taylor Epps lets us know how students are celebrating the lives of the 35 students lost 30 years ago.
And the midterm elections are less than a week away. Hear from students volunteering with local congressional campaigns.
Plus, we have highlights from the NC State game that got Cuse ranked for the first time since the 2001 season.
All that, plus your weather, coming up on this edition of Mornings on the Hill.
Our top story this hour, this is a special week here on the SU campus. It's known as Remembrance Week, an annual tradition to reflect on a fatal event that shook the campus decades ago.
To remember this tragedy, a week is dedicated to acting forward. Our Taylor Epps is live to tell us why this year's Remembrance Week is a special one.
Good morning, Elijah and Emily. It was just days before Christmas in 1988 when the lives of 35 SU students were taken in Lockerbie, Scotland. This year is the 30th anniversary, and together Remembrance Scholars are helping the rest of campus draw lessons from this catastrophe. Scholars began this week of reflection right here at the Place of Remembrance on Sunday. Look back, act forward. This is the promise that 35 students made on Sunday night at the Place of Remembrance. Through bouts of wind and rain, candles stayed lit as dozens gathered to kick off Remembrance Week, a time to reflect on those we lost 30 years ago to a terrorist bombing.
There are 35 Syracuse University students who were extraordinary and brilliant and incredibly talented, but also students no different than us, students who went to the same class, procrastinated on papers, and who wrote poetry, and who sat in the same classrooms too. The moment we begin to forget, we allow terrorism to continue to occur.
In light of the acts of terror throughout the country last week, organizers say it's important to use this week to continue to talk about this issue. Each year, 35 scholars are chosen to represent the students lost in the bombing of Flight Pan Am 103 in 1988. At the candlelight vigil, each scholar took a moment to pay tribute to the person they represent.
Pamela Elaine Herbert was a dual economics.
This includes wearing buttons, sharing their stories, and even celebrating their birthdays. These 35 seats here on the quad serve to represent the seats of those who lost their lives on Pan Am Flight 103 30 years ago. For those who were here on campus at the time, it was a tragedy they'll never forget.
I found out by someone running through the hall saying that a plane had crashed. It's a very different time, and it was very surreal because things like this didn't happen.
Radosky was a freshman at the time and says the tragedy caused a major change on campus. The effects of that change live on through the Remembrance Scholars.
I also have this unique opportunity to live out my senior year for the rest of the 35 Syracuse University students who didn't get to live out there last year. And that is so meaningful to me.
Sunday's vigil was just the beginning of this year's remembrance activities. Starting now until 3 p.m., students can pay tribute by tying a remembrance ribbon to one of the trees in the Orange Grove. Reporting live from the Place of Remembrance, I'm Taylor Epps for Mornings on the Hill.
Remembrance Week includes many activities on campus.
Our is live in the newsroom with more on a tree planting event.
Thanks, Emily and Alasia. On Friday, more than 70 volunteers took place in Remembrance tree planting event on South Campus. 35 trees were planted to commemorate the lives of the 35 students who died on Pan Am Flight 103 in a terrorist bombing over Lockerbie, Scotland. The event took a little over 25 minutes to plant all the trees thanks to the help of many volunteers. University College Public Relations Manager Eileen Jevis was happy with the turnout and encouraged by the university's initiatives to keep the memories of the students alive.
There's a history here, and Syracuse University is not going to let that tragedy not be remembered, but going forward with positive initiatives.
The trees are meant to be symbols and living memories of the 35 students lost in the attack 30 years ago. Next year, the university plans to place benches alongside the trees to beautify the area and give students a place to reflect. Later in our show, we have more updates on Remembrance Week events. I'm Becca Gutierrez reporting live in the studio. Back to you, Alasia and Emily.
Thanks, Becca. Time to check your weather for today.
Our sunny side is live on University Ave to tell us what to expect.
Thank you, Alasia and Emily. The weather gods have been with us for the last couple of days of sunshine and blue skies, but unfortunately, that's all about to go away. This week will bring a lot of rainy days ahead. We're looking at rainy skies all the way until Sunday morning. Today's high is 60 with a low of 44. Thursday, the rain doesn't look like it's stopping anytime soon with a high of 46 and a low of 42. Friday will continue with heavy precipitation with a high of 54 and a low of 42. And hopefully Saturday will be the last day of rain for the week with a high of 45 and a low of 35. The rain is supposed to stop on Sunday as we're looking at cloudy skies with a high of 49 and a low of 39. So bring out your umbrellas and raincoats and honestly, maybe even your snow coats if you're from the West Coast like me. I'm Sunny Side here on University Avenue. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Sunny. After the shootings that took place last Saturday at the Tree of Life Temple in the Squirrel Hill area of Pittsburgh, PA, members of Syracuse University's Hillel and Chabad are coming together to show their support for the community.
Sunday night, Hillel and Chabad organized a candlelight visual on the steps of Hendricks Chapel. The university historically is known for its support for members of the Jewish community. With the Holocaust Memorial sitting outside of Cross College, student members of the two Jewish organizations on campus are showing their support for the Squirrel Hill community and any SU students who are from that area. Along with the candlelight vigil, Hillel is having a social action Sabbat this Saturday night to continue discussion on hate crimes and gun reform.
Big of an issue as this is, sometimes it just seems that a lot of people still don't know about it. So to be able to bring light to that, especially someone who is directly affected, I think that that's really important, can help those people more in that.
Funerals of the 11 victims continue today. One suspect is charged with 11 counts of using a firearm to commit murder and multiple counts of hate crimes.
Syracuse's Maxwell School of Public Policy is ranked top in the nation, so it's not a surprise that 5 students were accepted into a nationally competitive public policy program last year.
The Public Policy International Affairs Program, or PPIA, is a 7-week program for college juniors. PPIA is held nationally across various universities. Some schools like Princeton, UC Berkeley, and Carnegie Mellon originally wanted to create a program to attract more people of color into their graduate policy program. The PPIA program helps undergraduate students prepare for graduate school by providing graduate-type level of classes during the summer. Students work on policy issues, interact with policymakers, and also get a small stipend for room and board.
Last year's participant Samantha Sanchez says her favorite part of the program was that it challenged topics of race.
It's usually swept under the rug, it doesn't really matter, but in reality it does. So the fact that they gave us a platform to actually talk about race and public policy and how all of our marginalized identities can actually create a really powerful narrative for those that may need that voice or may need that empowerment was really rewarding at the end of the day.
Samantha says the program gave her the confidence to apply to the top 10 graduate schools post-graduation. During November, Sanchez will fly out to California for interviews with UC Berkeley and USC.
Application deadline for next summer's PPIA is tomorrow, November 1st. The CUES Challenge app is now live in the App Store and on Google Play. With over 100 challenges in the app, students are encouraged to document their Orange experience.
As you complete challenges within the app, you can earn points and prizes. The top 5 winners this year will get a private tour of the Carrier Dome with the VP and Chief Facilities Officer Pete Sala. Adam Petrua, and the creator of CUES Challenge, says a lot of planning went into the idea before it was put into motion.
Last spring, we did this huge brainstorming session with about 45 students from all across campus, and we brought them together, pitched them the idea, asked them, what challenges they would like to see in the app.
CUES Challenge would like to continue to work with students to improve and grow with the app in the future.
Coming up here on Mornings on the Hill, we will tell you about the university startup group that hosted a conference this past weekend.
It will inspire you to do something you have never done before. Also coming up, our Dom Usilla will be live in studio with the Remembrance Scholar. They will tell you about the important events of Remembrance Week and what that means to participate in it. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Mornings on the Hill. In other campus news today, an agency founded by creative students for creative students is at Syracuse University. Collective hosted their first 2018 Collective Conference on Sunday and titled it The Art of Finesse. The purpose of the event is to bridge the gap between creative brands at SU through a day of programming with some of the top digital media influencers in the country.
Art of Finesse featured 3 speakers, 2 of which are Newhouse grads. Senior producer at Teen Vogue, Tiffany Bender, Neiman Berkenklein Fellow and Journalism Innovation recipient, Jonathan Jackson, and co-founder at New York on Tech, Evan Robinson. There was a panel discussion, workshops, and creative labs. Collective has worked with visual artists, musical festival productions, personalizing video content for major corporations like Coca-Cola.
Well, I think that in college, I realized early enough, luckily, that anything I wanted to do was here for me and for free. Well, not for free because we're paying tuition, student loans, okay. But I needed to make the most of my money, so to speak. And so, like, if there was something that I was interested in shooting or doing, I tapped into the resources here. I lived in a cage, and I also tapped into my peers who, you know, if you want to strengthen your skills as a DP and I want to get some on-camera work, we can easily work together and make something happen.
Collective has worked with visual artists, musical festival productions, and personalized video content for major corporations like Coca-Cola. Our Dom Usilla is live in studio this morning with Remembrance Scholar Abigail Covington. Dom, take it away.
Thanks, Emily and Alasia. I'm joined this morning by Abigail Covington, one of 35 Remembrance Scholars here on campus. Abigail, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate being here.
Absolutely. So you stand in honor of Keisha Whedon, who tragically lost her life 30 years ago in the Pan Am crash. What does that mean to you?
It means a lot. Keisha was a junior from the Bronx. She was studying social work, and she wanted to work with disadvantaged children. She actually worked at a nursery when she was in London with immigrant children. And so her compassion and care for people who are disadvantaged was massive. And so I just really appreciate being able to be connected to her. I got to meet Keisha's mother last year at a national ceremony, and just seeing how humble her family is and how much light she provided for them and everyone around her is amazing.
That's incredible. And it being 30 years since the terrorist attack, what makes this year so special and so emotional at the same time?
So when the incident first happened, the chancellor at the time vowed that our university would never forget what happened. And the families of the victims have been pushing here and in national legislation to make sure that happens. They literally have changed the way airport security works. They've pushed the FBI to continue the investigation. And so the fact that it's been 30 years of every group of scholars remembering these the incidents very differently means a lot in the fact that we've been able to keep their memory going and keep it strong.
Absolutely. So we know it's Remembrance Week here on campus. Can you kind of take me through the events that have happened so far this week and the ones that are upcoming as Remembrance Week closes?
Sure. On Monday, we had the Traumas of Terrorism panel, which was amazing. A different group of professors talked about terrorism and then also to how we deal with different forms of terrorism and trauma. Yesterday, Jim Kreindler, who is the attorney for the families, or the victims' families, he came to speak at the law school. Today, there'll be ribbon tying on the Orange Grove from 10 to 3. Tomorrow is our celebration of life in Panache Lounge. And then Friday is our big event with our convocation in Hendricks Chapel with Dean Conkle and our Roseling ceremony at the Place of Remembrance.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Is there anything else you'd like to add about Remembrance Week?
Just generally that I think sometimes we get a bit morbid because it is such a sad incident, but just remembering that the students provided so much light to their families, to campus, and to all that they did. So we keep that in memory as well and honor the people and who they were.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Abigail. Now we'll go to our reporter, Sunny Sai, with your Orange Buzz.
Good morning, Orange Nation. I'm Sunny Sai with your Orange Buzz. Here's what's trending on the Hill. Last week, after SU's 51-41 win against NC State, AP has ranked the football team the 22nd football team in the nation. Now, let's see what Twitter users have to say about that. So, Mr. JGB here says, "This is a great day for Syracuse football. Well done, and let's keep it rolling against Wake. Hashtag Q's, hashtag extend Dino Babers." Jessica over here says, "You know what else doesn't suck in the world? Syracuse is the second most relevant football team in the ACC since Notre Dame chooses not to count for football. What a time to be alive." I think that's a compliment, so thank you, Jessica. Erica says, "Of course Syracuse football became good the 1 year I didn't get season tickets." Well, I'm sorry, Erica, season is coming to a close, but there's always next year. Mr. T says, "Syracuse has a football team?" Surprise, Mr. T. Yes, we do have a football team. And finally, Austin wraps it up for us by saying, "Keep it going. Hashtag Q's, hashtag Syracuse, and the most important hashtag, hashtag beat Louisville." Don't forget to get tickets for our last home game at the Dome next Friday at 7 p.m. Now to Casey Busher for your Orange Sports.
Good morning, I'm Casey Busher with your Orange Sports Update here on Mornings on the Hill. The Syracuse football team has not been bowl eligible in 5 years. And to see the last time they were ranked as a top 25 team, well, you'd have to go back just a bit further to 2001. Q's had the chance to change all of that if they could take down number 22, North Carolina State, this past Saturday in the Dome. Kicking off Syracuse's first touchdown, Dungey throwing it deep to Nykeem Johnson for an 82-yard pass to take the lead in the first. Another touchdown in the quarter. Dungey hands it off to Howard to put the Orange up 16-7. And Dungey does it again, recording his second touchdown pass for 20 yards to Jamal Custis, the junior from Philadelphia. With 2 minutes left in the first, the Orange lead by 16. Heading into the second quarter, Syracuse's 45 field goal gave them the momentum heading into halftime, up 27-20. Coming out of last week's double overtime win against UNC, questions rose on whether senior quarterback Eric Dungey or redshirt freshman Tommy DeVito would get the start. Coach Babers stuck to his guns, and boy, did it pay off. Eric Dungey finished the game completing 27 of 38 for 411 yards. He also added 3 touchdown passes and another rushing touchdown to the mix. As Eric Dungey does Eric Dungey things, he passed Donovan McNabb to become Syracuse's all-time leader in total offense. NC State's quarterback Ryan Finley did everything he could to keep his team in the game, throwing for 473 yards and 3 touchdowns of his own. But Syracuse's offense wasn't the only thing stepping up. The Orange defense intercepted Finley's pass late in the fourth quarter. The Orange sealed the game with Dante Strickland's run into the end zone. Eric Dungey's record night and a chance at bowl eligibility were too much for the Wolfpack on this occasion. Syracuse defeated North Carolina State 51-41.
To play college football at the highest level is such a gift given, and for them not to have an opportunity to ever have a winning season, it was so sad. It hurt me, physically hurt me.
Well, hurt no more, Coach. The Orange will see the postseason for the first time since 2013. The now 19th ranked Orange will look to continue their winning ways when they head to Wake Forest this Saturday. Number 20 Syracuse soccer took on Boston College in the regular season finale at the SU Soccer Stadium on Friday night. The Orange will enter next week's ACC tournament with a 7-5-4 record, including a 1-4-3 mark in league play. Syracuse dominated the match statistically and was the more dangerous team throughout the game. The Orange recorded 24 shots, 9 were on frame. Boston College recorded 9 shots. Syracuse again outshot Boston College in the second half, 9-4, but neither team could find the back of the net as the match went into overtime. The Orange maintained possession for the majority of both overtime sessions, with the Eagles getting their chances on counterattacks. A corner kick in the 109th minute gave Syracuse the final opportunity for the game winner. Farron's shot went off the crossbar, and the match ended in a 0-0 draw. Tomorrow night, the Newhouse School alum Ian Eagle will receive the 6th annual Marty Glickman Award for Leadership in Sports Media. Mike Tirico, last year's recipient, will present the award. The ceremony is hosted by the Newhouse Sports Media Center and will begin at 5 p.m. at the Joyce Hargan Auditorium in Newhouse 3. The event is open to the campus community. I hope to see you there, Orange Nation. I'm Casey Busher, and that's your Orange Sports Update. Coming up later on Mornings on the Hill, with less than a week until the 2018 midterms, our Rebecca Castor will have the breakdown recent polls between Dana Balter and John Katko. Don't go away.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us this morning. Joni Mahoney spoke with Mornings on the Hill contributor Olivia Proya for the first time since announcing she's leaving county government.
Here's what she had to say about the construction here on the Hill.
On the Hill, there's two different perspectives. One is this connective corridor that was done under the previous chancellor. That has really changed the face of East Genesee Street. All those, massive new apartments that are being marketed to students, that has really changed. But now the focus up here with the new Veterans Center, the arch being improved, all of that. Syracuse University is one of the most important employers in upstate New York. And the bigger, stronger, healthier Syracuse University is, the better for the surrounding region. So I'm thrilled to see the cranes in the sky up here at Syracuse.
Now, with less than a week until Election Day, incumbent John Katko holds a significant lead over Democratic challenger Dana Balter in the race for Congress.
And even though only a small percentage of SU students are registered to vote in Onondaga County, many have still gotten involved with the campaigns. Our own Rebecca Castor is here in studio with more on what recent polls are showing on students on campus are encouraging their peers to vote.
Thanks, Emily and Alasia. The most recent polling data conducted a little over a week ago is showing Congressman John Katko still has a significant lead over Democratic challenger Dana Balter for the 24th Congressional District seat. He is up 14 points in the polls, with 53% of those polled are backing the congressman and 39% are with Balter. 8% remain undecided. And these polling results, they show almost no change from polls that we saw back in August, where 54% of voters were behind Katko. And many SU students have taken an interest in this race for Congress. I spoke with students campaigning on opposite sides of the aisle, and both agree that students need to take the midterm elections more seriously.
And then someone from the campaign will be getting in touch with you just to clear up where to go to vote.
This is really the first time people my age get a chance to make a say for themselves, in politics, in the world, make the change you want to see.
And a lot of people overlook the midterm elections because they feel like it won't affect them, or they're not as important as the presidential elections, when really these midterm elections are what affects us the most, because the officials that are being sworn in are local officials, and our local community will be affected.
Sean and Justine are both SU students volunteering in this year's race for the 24th Congressional District seat. As campaign interns, they make phone calls, canvass door to door, and educate their peers about the importance of being an informed voter.
A lot of students aren't informed on current issues. So even if we have students voting in the elections, they really don't go into the voting booth with a clear knowledge of who the candidates are.
Helping students to become familiar with the candidates and their positions is an important task for campaign interns, but encouraging students to get out and vote, no matter their party affiliation, is their main goal.
Democracy is so important. There's a reason why U.S. has representational democracy. Not many countries get this kind of privilege, so it's really important to go out there and to really elect someone that you think will represent you in Congress or in your local elections, mayor, something like that. It's so important to get out there and exercise that right that you have.
And most students won't have to go far to vote on Election Day. Looking at the list of polling places in Onondaga County, we will see that Huntington Hall right here on Marshall Street is one of many polling places, along with locations on Euclid Ave, Lancaster Ave, Drumlins on South Campus, and the Warehouse. For Mornings on the Hill, I'm Rebecca Castor. Now let's check out what's happening this weekend on the Hill.
I'm Becca Gutierrez, and here's what's going on this weekend.
That there was Google on there.
Continues honoring the 35 students lost in Pan Am Flight 103 30 years ago. Here's everything you need to know going on into this weekend. Tomorrow, a group of 5 cyclists will make their way to Syracuse from Lockerbie and end at the Syracuse welcome reception at the Einhorn Family Walk at 3 p.m. Later, the Celebration of Life open mic will take place at 7 p.m. at Shine Student Center. On Friday, there's also... I'm Becca, and that's Weekends on the Hill.
I'm Emily Barkan. Thank you for joining us this morning.
And I'm Malaysia Williams. Catch us next Wednesday at 10 a.m. on Mornings on the Hill.